Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Uncle Claude here. As you step in, please hit the like button. I really would appreciate that. Definitely helps with the YouTube algorithms, of course. More people watching, more people like it. It definitely helps the broadcast. So here we go. Later on this evening, of course, the first game of the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics against the Golden State Warriors at the Oracle. This, I believe, will be a great series. But I'll tell you who I'm going to choose later on. Of course, it's the huge experience on the side of the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, those guys already have 3 titles. They have definitely been the team of the decade, no question. The team of the 2000s, no question. Well, the 2010s and the 2020s, no doubt, are the Golden State Warriors. They've been back after a 2-year hiatus, of course. I mean, Klay Thompson coming back from those devastating knee injuries, you have to give the man credit. Now, obviously, this is a very tough series for me. Being a Laker fan, I've been a lifelong Laker fan. In fact, I'm wearing the jersey of the Diesel. Of course, all you need to do is look up his finals exploits to know where Shaq stands as far as all-time great centers. This is where Shaquille O'Neal put his stamp on his all-time greatness, his dominating performances in the NBA Finals. That's why there are the Shaq-Kobe Lakers, not the Kobe-Shaq Lakers during that time, because, of course, he won 3 Finals MVPs in a row as a member of the Lakers. So that's for any of those guys. And listen, was Kobe great? Absolutely. But in those finals, Shaq was the one driving the bus, believe me. Now, Kobe was a very good passenger. In fact, he was riding shotgun. There was no question about that. But I digress. Let's get to the starting 5 first for the Boston Celtics, of course. This is their starting lineup. They're going to have Marcus Smart starting at the point, with Jaylen Brown at the shooting guard, Jason Tatum at the small forward. Al Horford plays the power forward, a lot of center. And, of course, their starting center is Robert Williams III. Their bench is not that deep, the Celtics. They mainly go about 3 deep, sometimes 4. But the Celtics are not a deep team. They're going to rely on heavy minutes from mainly Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And they are going to be the anchors for the Celtics. And as great as Jason Tatum has played for the Celtics, to me, their most consistent player has been Jaylen Brown. There's been no question about it. I mean, he's been driving the lane. He's almost been James Worthy-esque. See how I keep throwing in these Lakers. But listen, he's been outstanding for the Celtics. And he's made a few big shots of his own. I mean, Tatum is definitely the superstar on that team. But Jaylen Brown has a chance to be the Pippen to Jason Tatum's Jordan, so to speak. So this is a huge series. Now, the X factor for the Celtics, to me, is Jaylen Brown, but to another extent, Marcus Smart, because he's going to have to chase Steph Curry. And remember, he was the guy who caused the injury, inadvertently, of course, that caused Steph Curry to miss the last few games of the regular season. So there's a little bit of friction there. And you do want that in the series. You want a little bit of bad blood. That definitely gets the juices flowing when it comes to the NBA Finals. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, of course, the Golden State starting lineup, very familiar. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, in the backcourt of Andrew Wiggins, who has definitely come into his own. He's almost become a defensive stalwart at the small forward. Of course, Draymond Green, and their center is Kevon Looney. He won't be out there that long. And I tell you what they like to do is put in their speed lineup where you see Jordan Poole is in there and Draymond plays a lot of center position. And you can get away with that in today's NBA, of course, because you're almost punished for having a certain amount of size in the NBA today. And Draymond is a very good defensive player at the power forward and center positions. Now, he'll try to convince you that he is the greatest defensive player of all time. We know that's not the case, especially not at his position. Dennis Rodman can definitely make that claim as to being the best defensive power forward of all time. And Dennis Rodman, I've seen him be able to take care of all four of the five positions. Of course, he wouldn't take on the point guard, but from shooting guard on, Dennis Rodman had not only the skills, but he had the length to take on all of those on the defensive end. I mean, there's so many great players on the defensive end. Draymond Green, as good as he is, he's not touching guys like Michael Cooper, Bobby Jones of the old Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, even if you go to more modern days, like a Ben Wallace was a much better defensive player than Draymond Green. Listen, there are so many. I mean, I'm not even bringing up the Akeem Olajuwons of the world. I mean, my God, Akeem Olajuwon was I could make a case that he's the best defensive center that I've ever seen. Now, I watched Kareem, but that was near the tail end of his prime. And let's face it, Kareem, I'd make the case that he's the greatest center of all time. But that's neither here nor there. The X factor, obviously, for the Golden State Warriors, they have two as well. Andrew Wiggins, of course, because he's going to be charged with shutting down Jason Tatum. Well, slowing down Jason Tatum. I don't think anybody shuts down Jason Tatum. He has a lot of mannerisms, Tatum, as Kobe Bryant when you look at his game. He definitely reminds me of him. He definitely has that Mamba mentality. He will gun for that shot, and he's not afraid of the big spot. And that's what you want out of your superstar player. And Andrew Wiggins offensively has come in. Well, we know he could score, but he's right. He's a perfect fit for this Golden State Warrior team because he can give you 18 to 25. He can give you max effort on the defensive end. He definitely runs the court well, good finisher. And he takes up the slack that Klay Thompson on the defensive end can no longer do. And let's face it, this is where the Celtics, to me, have a huge advantage. Their two stars are very young and very athletic, where the Warrior stars in Curry and Klay Thompson, they're long in the tooth, and due to age and injury, they are not the athletes that they used to be. Then when you add on a Marcus Smart on the defensive end, who is a definite ball hawk, he's very physical. I mean, that's the thing. To me, it's going to be which team imposes their will. Will it be the Celtics' physicality? Or will it be the Warriors? I don't want to say showtime, but what I will say is they do like to go on the fast break, and they do like to shoot the three. There's no question about that. I'm not saying that the Warriors are not a physical team, because Draymond is a very physical player. But for the most part, they're definitely not as physical as the Boston Celtics. Now, the Warriors, they can make this a short series if they're hitting their threes at a 40% plus clip. Then this series could be really quick. And then when the Warriors put in Jordan Poole is another huge, huge X factor when it comes to this series. because Jordan Poole has played very good stretches of basketball along with Andrew Wiggins and, of course, the Splash Brothers. Now, Klay Thompson has shown flashes, but as we know, he's not the same player. I think we'll see a better Klay Thompson next year as opposed to this year. And it definitely takes 2 to 3 years to fully come back. In fact, I don't think he'll ever fully come back athletically, but Klay Thompson has such a high basketball IQ, and I think that doesn't get mentioned enough when they mention Klay Thompson as a great player. Obviously, on the defensive end, he plays more with his head than with his athleticism, but he knows the angles well enough, and obviously he is still a great three-point shooter. Boy, when it is something to behold when he gets hot, when he and Steph Curry are hot at the same time. Listen, this game could be over by the mid-fourth quarter, the first game anyway. I do believe that this will be a very, very close series. When it comes to the coaches as well, I think that, and listen, I'm going to be honest, I just want to see a good series. I can't root for either team. Obviously, being a Laker fan, I can't root for the Celtics. I certainly can't root for the Golden State Warriors. Anybody who knows how I feel about the way they did Mark Jackson, there's no way I could root for the Golden State Warriors, even though I do respect their team and I respect, obviously, what they've done over these past few years. I am not a big fan of Steve Kerr as a coach. I think he's a big phony. Just my opinion, but I definitely give respect where respect is due. Now, conversely, this Boston head coach, he has proven, number one, how bad a coach Brad Stevens was with the Celtics, and also what he's done. Look, if you look at what he's done this particular season, look at who the Celtics have gone through in order to get to the finals. They beat Brooklyn and Kyrie and KD. They beat the defending champs in Giannis. Then they beat Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra. Listen, the Celtics have done a magnificent job, and obviously so have the Golden State Warriors. They beat Luka. They beat a young up-and-coming team with John Morant in Memphis. Listen, this to me has a chance to be one of the all-time great NBA finals. All the pressure, well, there's pressure on both, but all the pressure definitely is on Steph Curry because he has not, obviously they keep bringing up the fact that he has not won a finals MVP. And even though Steph Curry has come up great in a lot of these games, he's also come up small in some of these games too. And I don't think it's a favorable matchup with him and Marcus Smart. I think physically, Marcus Smart can wear him down a little bit. To me, I think this comes down to the Splash Brothers versus the young guns of the Celtics. I think in the beginning, the moment might be a little too big, and that's where the playoff experience is going to come into it. The first game, I'll even say the first half of game one. After that, I think that's going to wear down. And listen, I have to give the props to the Golden State Warriors. But me personally, I believe that the Boston Celtics are going to hoist up the championship trophy and win their 18th title. I think that youth is served. This is a young man's league, the NBA. And I think that this particular series, it will be a changing of the guard. I like Tatum and Brown just a little bit better than Steph and Klay Thompson because they're on the downside of their careers where these guys are on the upside. Now, obviously, would I be shocked if Golden State won this in 6 games? Absolutely not. They definitely have the championship pedigree. And I tell you what, if the Golden State Warriors win this title, you have to put them in the top 5 of all-time teams. You have to put them up there with the Magic Kareem Lakers. You got to put them up there with the Bird Mikhail Paris Celtics. You got to put them up there with the Shaq Kobe Lakers if you want. And you definitely have to put them up there with the Mike and Scotty Chicago Bulls. You have to put Golden State right alongside in the top 5 teams of all time if they pull off this title. With everything that's going on, especially the way Klay Thompson came back from that gruesome injury. It almost looked like Klay wasn't going to play again. So, and I have the utmost respect for Golden State, but I just think that is just time right now. I think the way they dispatched of Brooklyn set the tone. Now, they could have lost easily against Milwaukee. They also could have lost. Listen, if Jimmy Butler hits that 3, it is a totally different deal. But those things didn't happen. The Celtics are here, and I think that they are relishing the opportunity to take advantage of it. And I believe Jason Tatum is going to win the MVP. Don't be shocked if Jaylen Brown wins it, though. In fact, he's my dark horse. But I believe the Boston Celtics win in 7 games over the Golden State Warriors. And another fun fact, the Celtics have actually played better on the road, 7-2, than they have at home. And even though Golden State plays well at Oracle, listen, they've had some slip-ups there too. And we already know what Kyrie and LeBron did to him years ago, but I just like the young guns for the Celtics. Celtics in 7 is my prediction. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. UncClaude signing out. Like I said, I can't root for either one of these guys, but let's just root for a great series. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and God bless.